Hi, everyone. Welcome to our debate. A little bit to start off about our group. My name is Ashley. I have worked in the field of ABA for over 2 years as a behavior analyst, and I recently got my bachelor's in Spanish in order to be able to work with Spanish-speaking families and clients. Jasmine, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
Jasmine is our pro-technology debater. She has been working in the field of ABA for almost a year and a half as a behavior therapist and has a major in human development. Julia
Hi.
is our against technology debater, and she has been in the field for 5 years, currently working as a teacher at a special services school for children with autism, where she utilizes her experience in ABA. She has her master's in early childhood development, or education, sorry. Today we will be debating whether technology is threatening the future of special education in ABA. While some people believe that technology is a current threat to the future of special education in ABA, others believe that it will enhance the services that are offered to individuals. Today we will be covering the positive aspects to technology, as well as the negative implications of technology within the field. As we all know, technology is already becoming an intricate part of both special education and ABA. Many companies are shifting from paper data to paperless. This means that they are getting rid of hard data and transferring it to an online database that can track and graph client progress. By taking data online, everything is compiled in an easily accessible form and can be seen by therapists, supervisors, directors, and even the parents or guardians of clients. With this shift happening rapidly, what will be the advantages and disadvantages of a future with technology? In favor of technology, it helps children who otherwise wouldn't have access to services and is able to virtually aid children with various challenges. Tools that are available through technology are both advanced and efficient, giving children a better chance to increase their independence. Getting parents involved in the entire process, connected to whatever kind of service is being provided, is vital to each individual child's success. This can be affected positively with the utilization of technology such as online training. On the other side, in opposition, heavy reliance upon technology could hinder society as a whole, especially considering those in socioeconomic situations that do not allow for easy access. Those individuals may suffer because their access will be restricted based on what they can get their hands on, such as internet connection or even computers. The social experience that is virtual may be too constructed, whereas naturally occurring exchanges between people are much more meaningful. Acquiring and maintaining certain technologies can be expensive, and not all budgets, both for ABA and special education, including in-home and school services, will be able to meet the demand for more funding in this area. Ethical implications of technology can be viewed both as positive and negative due to the uncertainty of the future as well as security issues. We hope that you guys enjoy our debate today. Let's jump into the first round. So for round one of our debates, Jasmine will be discussing how technology can serve as a tool to reach individuals regardless of their geographic location and immediate access to services based on their location. The advantage from technology usage will be to those that live far away from current services offered. They could be accessed remotely, for example, through a computer, instead of in person. This would expand access for clients and teachers or therapists and provide help for clients who would not normally receive the services due to their location. Take it away, Jasmine.
Thank you, Ashley. Yes, for my first point, we know the usage of technology is increasing dramatically. Increased advancements, awareness, and availability of materials, equipment, and adaptations make the application of assistive technology an ever-evolving field, which include new inventions and innovative use of existing tools. The term assistive technology device means any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of a child with a disability. Since technology is being used a lot more, it has also been incorporated into special education, education and ABA programs. Technology is becoming a useful and unique tool that will help families that are not able to receive ABA services regardless um, of their access to services in the surrounding areas. For example, military families are not able to get ABA services. But with the opportunity to do online technology enhancement treatments, these families will not miss out the chance of receiving the help they need. Even in a study by Wayne Fisher, parents are trained through a 60-minute multimedia module of preventing problem behavior, and they participate in a script role play session where an expert, a robust improvement in the parent's performance is observed in the first post-test assessment, and this improvement was maintained across a second post-assessment. This will also be more motivating for the child to become and want to learn because they will be learning through a device they really enjoy. While they are enjoying something that they are learning from, their independency will increase and their ability to maintain their own behavior and test performance. Independency will increase and the need for continued supervision or prompting by others will decrease. While the children can learn from something they desire, it will make it more easier for the teachers or the therapists to use as well. For example, text. Texts are utilizing printed and laminated pictures, and applied behavior analysis is commonly used to teach the picture exchange. There are several phases which increasingly encourage independent communication. There are several teachers with multiple ASD children in their classrooms spend a significant amount printing, cutting, and laminating pictures for all their students. It becomes increasingly difficult to customize a set of pictures based on personal desire, interest, and the communication skills of each child. For a child, the length of time needed to find the picture and then show it may discourage the expression of emotions such as happiness, which can rise after an activity the child enjoys. As a result, it can definitely be a lot easier to travel with their text images that are in a tablet or smartphone rather than carrying the textbook.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. Julia will now discuss how heavy reliance on technology may create a division based on people and their socioeconomic status, because certain socioeconomic classes will have an advantage when it comes to accessing resources, and others will be at a disadvantage, which will then equate to some children receiving better services than others, when we all know that all clients should have equal access to good quality services.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. So the first con that I'm going to be discussing is one that relates to socioeconomic disparities that can arise from the reliance on technology when providing services. So schools and parents ultimately want to provide their children with resources, and they face the inherent dilemma of cost and how to provide technology to their children that is always evolving and inherently creates more cost. So trying to provide the most current and progressive resources requires tackling the issue of cost and access. Relying heavily on technology unintentionally creates a divide in terms of socioeconomic division when looking at access to services. So certain socioeconomic classes will have an advantage in terms of accessing resources, and this is going to inherently put other parts of the population at a disadvantage in terms of gaining access to the technology as well as the progress that results from its use. Technology can be a very advantageous resource when providing ABA services to clients in terms of data collection or as a teaching tool, as well as it can serve as an augmentative communication system. And it has a growing part in the field, which means that it will be expected that districts and service providers be able to provide technology to their clients as well as train staff on how to implement the technology correctly. Providing access to expensive technology can be a challenge for impoverished or lower income school districts or service providers. Any type of technology inherently relies on expensive equipment, whether it be tablets or smartphones, and all of the attachments that come with it, cases, and this will all initially cost a lot of money, as well as the future cost of replacement, which is a real consideration as technological devices will take on wear and tear due to continued use. And districts and service providers might not be able to reliably set aside funding each year in their budgets to not only initially buy the technology, but to also keep up with the changing software and devices necessary to effectively use them. If a district or service provider is not able to provide access to expensive technology, those students are inherently at a disadvantage compared to students in other placements or districts where they are able to utilize it. So relying heavily on technology can create barriers for students to enter other placements or settings in which technology is heavily utilized. And utilizing technology as a primary resource or modality of treatment will definitely isolate certain school districts, students, teachers, in terms of being current in curriculum resources and strategies in incorporating technology. And this kind of ties into poverty playing a role in the overrepresentation of minority groups diagnosed that fall under the special education umbrella. In a research article that I found by SPCE, this is a quote that says, in summary, a variety of poverty-associated factors have been shown to predict academic and behavioral gaps that might be expected to special education referral, suggesting that economic disadvantage makes some contribution to minority disproportionality in special education. So this kind of just goes back and ties into the point that relying heavily on technology in your service, whether it be in school or in-home therapy or whatever type of placement that the client might be at, will inherently create a type of divide based on socioeconomic classes and access to the technology.
All right, thank you very much for that, you guys. Let's hop into round two. For our second round, Julia will now discuss how technology does not necessarily replicate natural communication since it is synthetic and unnatural. The experience tends to be more virtual rather than aligned with reality. When using any type of communication device with others, this may be hindering to the individual because the conversation can be delayed and therefore true speech or communication even is never developed in a meaningful way.
Okay, so as Ashley just mentioned, the second point that I'll be making for the con side of the technology argument is that the technology that we heavily rely on doesn't really provide individuals with an authentic or natural style of communication or socialization experience. It creates a more virtual and scripted experience, and could possibly be stigmatizing when used in the community with typical individuals who don't have any experience with augmentative device users. Technology as an augmentative speech device can potentially be stigmatizing and can potentially create a communication problem between the user and the typical individual that they're communicating with in the environment. Individuals in the community might not be familiar with the technology or its use, and may be less willing to take the time to converse with an individual using some sort of technology or augmentative device to communicate. Individuals that utilize technology to communicate might have a harder time being able to pick up on social cues, naturalistic cues in conversation, leaving room for possible error and miscommunication in regards to their wants or needs. Especially be a concern with individuals who or how they use their device or how the technology works. As teachers or trained therapists, devices, we kind of have a bias since we know our learners and we know how to error correct or prompt them when they're using the device and provide that support to them. We aren't always present when the learner is expected to use the device independently, and we can't always jump in to prompt or help them express their wants or needs when communicating. This can be problematic in terms of creating potential challenges for AAC users when we really want them to use the technology independently and be effective with independent use. And utilizing some sort of assistive technology to communicate or produce speech creates an unnatural delay time during conversation. And this also creates the potential that the learner will not be understood thoroughly. If there are any types of gaps in the conversation or speech production, that could potentially be a problem. The user could primarily be focused on using the technology instead of actually communicating with it with another individual. So be preoccupied about navigating through the device, or be kind of distracted by some certain feature of the device instead of actually using it for the purpose of communicating. And in an article that I found on this topic, written by Light, it says, a direct quote is, "Perhaps the greatest danger in the iPad or mobile technology revolution is that the excitement over these new technologies will result in an isolated focus on the technology alone, to the neglect of the true end goal." So kind of going back to what I was saying, that students or learners might be more preoccupied with the device itself than actually using it to communicate. And additionally, Light goes on to say that too often AAC interventions using mobile technologies are limited to simple requests for preferred items and labeling pictures. Technology can be limiting in terms of what can be communicated, and it might be more difficult for a learner to express complex scenarios or limit them in regards of what the technology is capable of. And in a quote from an article written by Rose, it says, "If we focus only on the design of alternative communication, we will inherit an environment that is so poorly designed and barrier-ridden that mobility will be limited for many individuals, creating a need for augmentative technology that is prohibitively extensive and expensive." So learners who rely heavily on this type of technology will inherently create cost for their service providers, family, schools, etc., and will be limited in how and what they can communicate to other individuals based on the technology that they're using.
All right, so Jasmine will now discuss how technology can, in fact, enhance communication by creating a comfortable way for individuals with communicative delays to be able to socialize with others. The virtual aspect may not necessarily hinder individuals if it is able to help the transition to speaking, or at the very least, communicating, for example, non-verbally, with people in real life.
Yeah, and thank you, Ashley. Like the main word, I guess, was to make it more comfortable. And we know a lot of children with disabilities have trouble socializing, and that causes them to have anxiety problems. The DSM-5 characterizes autism spectrum disorder into three severity levels, with level 3 representing the most severe functional impairment in social communication and needing very substantial support. Using a computer-based simulation of reality will offer high-functioning individuals to practice difficult challenges, both challenging social interactions and a less anxiety-producing platform. They may also perform well on explicit social cognitive measures because of compensatory strategies, but often struggle in situations requiring the ability to spontaneously understand emotions of others and predict others' actions. This strong contrast between their strong academic performance and impaired social competency can lead to frustration. Consequently, they are at increased risk for social isolation and loneliness compared to their typically developing counterparts. Overall, the impairments in social communication, the theory of mind and executive function, can negatively influence both peer relationships and schoolwork. Social deficits may impede academic performance in school due to low self-esteem, despite their average to above average intellectual abilities. With a virtual environment, they will meet the individual's needs with the option of real-time feedback that will be able to enhance the learning experience. Virtual reality will be great for communication skills, so they will get the motivation of safely practice and rehearse social skills once they already go in the real world. Real-life social scenarios will be used to meet the child's needs where they are having challenges. This will also serve as a practice for them at their own pace, so it won't be such a rush and just throw them out into the real world if they're not ready. That way they will be ready to socialize and communicate with other peers in the real world, making it easier and a less anxious feeling. Several studies have examined the feasibility and effectiveness of virtual reality as a treatment option for individuals with ASD. As summarized in a review article by Weiner and Ingersoll, both studies focus on the use of technology to train children and adolescents with ASD. The majority of the article focused on teaching emotion recognition and simple language skills such as learning vocabulary words and expressive language. Only 4 of the studies described in the review recorded evaluations of trained social skills and social awareness. Results indicated that children with ASD between the ages of 5 to 8 years old were able to increase the number of possible solutions to problems from an overall average of less than 1 to more than 3. A computer game was used to teach emotion recognition and social problem solving and found improvements on knowledge of acknowledgement of emotion recognition in children with Asperger's syndrome. Another used a virtual reality cafe where 12 adolescents with ASD with between the ages of 13 and 18 to teach social awareness and then conduct a follow-up study with 6 adolescents between the ages of 14 and 15. When when completed the virtual cafe training, participants showed improvement in their social understanding in those settings, such as choosing appropriate seats, knowing when to initiate a conversation, as measured by their interactions and responses to the video questions. Separate case studies have also shown that participants with ASD can enhance their social awareness using a virtual reality social training platform.
All right, so for round 3 of our debate, Jasmine will be explaining the benefits to trained parents utilizing technology in order to demonstrate the benefit that they can provide by working alongside and in collaboration with professionals to help their children.
As we know, parents are a very important life of every child's life. Um, and the children need the consistency of what the help they need. Some parents are not able to receive training all the time, but with online training, they won't miss that opportunity and they can get that chance. Online parent training will increase parent involvement because parents will be implementing the treatment. There will be increased independence from parents. They will be doing a lot more hands-on and practicing on their children, which will be a great practice, eventually making it easier for them. A study done where web-based training followed in which the parent receives real-time feedback on implementing discrete trials, the percentage of opportunities with correct implementation of the procedures increased to above 60% for one parent and 80% for another parent in the study. This led to an increase in their child's performance to nearly 100% and accuracy and 60% accuracy. After some additional training, the first parent's accuracy increased to above 80%. With the appropriate practice and training, the parent's percentage increased. Since there will be more involvement, it will be easier for the parents to establish a closer connection to their child as well. I always tell parents that it's important for them to engage in our sessions when if they are eager to learn as well, and it's much better because their child will live with them at home, and I'm only them for let's say 2 hours, so 2 hours is not enough for the child to feel motivated or make rapid progress. They need the consistency, and the parent is the best fit for them to center around most of the time. However, parents will not have the need to feel that they have to do everything on their own or try to figure it out on their own with the online training. They will be able to get real-time feedback about the change they're implementing, which will allow them to increase their accuracy with the children. This will also increase the children's performance. The parents' knowledge will also increase greatly because they will be learning the techniques at the same time that they're implementing them, and it will be a faster and easier way to learn. So at the same time, they can go at their own pace and learning each step. Of course, it may seem that the parents will be having to do all the implementing, and they will, but they will be learning from tutors that are very well trained before beginning the parent training. As a result, the evaluation is by evaluating a technology-enhanced treatment delivery model, military families will be able to receive empirically supported treatment services in a timely manner anywhere in the world, and not just the military families, but other families who are not able to receive services will miss out on the opportunity to help their child.
All right. Julia will now discuss the cost of providing technology to clients receiving in-home services, as well as children in school. Although the technology may help individuals, it is not always feasible to provide the technology if it does not fit into the tight budget. This goes for both ABA companies and special education programs in school.
Okay, so the third con for this side of the argument is the cost of technology on a large scale. So the cost to acquire technology and maintain current versions each year won't be doable for all individuals, agencies, or school districts that provide services. Additional staff might also have to be taken on, and trainings might have to be provided to those therapists or teachers working with learners with any type of technology integrated into their services. Providing technology to students via in-school service or home therapy is very expensive and can be costly to keep up with when utilizing technology. So finding trained staff or individuals to implement any type of programming with technology, such as speech-language pathologists or any other trained professionals, will also be an additional cost to whoever's providing the service. To provide optimal use and to set the learners up for success, additional personnel and trainings should be provided to ensure that the correct use and teaching of the technology is being provided to the students or the clients. Unfortunately, this is not a luxury that all districts or service providers will be able to have. So utilizing technology without any type of experienced professional or just for the sake of having technology would really be a disservice to the learner and a waste of resource in terms of it being effective and a communication tool. So that's why taking on the extra staff and the trainings would really be something that would be necessary in order to make sure that the technology resource is being utilized appropriately. So any type of new project in the future for any type of service provider, whether it be school or home therapy, their budgets are definitely going to have to be assessed every year to try to find any type of funding to support technology use. So that'll include ongoing professional development for staff, acquiring new technology, repairing or maintaining current technology that they have, and it definitely will affect more service providers or school districts than others. And there's just going to be a constant need to find more funding each year as technology changes and inherently will become more expensive. So this will affect budgets on a large scale, which include state, federal, and national budgets in terms of providing educational services. And they will also have to continue to find funding to provide the technology and to provide additional training. And unfortunately, the cost of technology and utilizing it in education really has no foreseeable end in the future and is going to be one that will continue to grow as the technology field advances and there's more options and opportunities for technology use within special education.
Okay, those are some great points. So for the final round of our debate, Julia will discuss with us the negative ethical implications of using technology, including confidentiality in regards to handling and sharing information. For example, when it is used inappropriately or without really careful attention. So go ahead and take it away, Julia.
Okay, so my final point, and I think one of the most important ones, is the ethical implications for any type of technology use, but for this point of the debate, especially within special education. So as we increasingly rely on technology to disseminate and also house information, such as confidential information about students or any type of data, it does open the door to potential theft or leaking of that information to individuals who have no right to it. So on any given device, there may be personal information such as family members' names, home addresses, birth dates, phone numbers, and a host of other personal information that therapists or teachers might be trying to teach a student via the technology. This information is not only available to the learner for the purpose of any type of teaching tool, but also to anyone who maintains the device or is anywhere that the device is being housed. This could also pose a potential threat in the community when interacting with strangers, where this private information could be communicated by accident by the learner. In an article that relates to this topic by Nanj from 2012, it says, in most cases, the production of information could be costly. Therefore, transmission and reproduction of the information without appropriate permission might be an invasion of the rights of the producer. So it kind of touches on the fact that anytime we use technology to provide any type of personal information and provide that as a resource for learners to communicate with, it definitely is a potential for any type of invasion of privacy or confidential information. And as many of us know from being enrolled in this course or any other course in pursuit of any type of applied behavior analysis credential, protecting our clients' rights to confidentiality is one of our biggest responsibilities that we have to the client. So that being said, there's a greater need for supervisors or anyone that interacts with the technology to create safeguards to protect the information that's sensitive to the learner. So there's a greater risk associated with technology use, and the risk can be seriously damaging to the learner and their family if it's misused in any way. This type of risk can definitely inhibit the learner's complete independent use of the device, since it might have to be monitored for their safety. And staff handling the information will definitely need additional training and will have to be monitored to ensure that things are being done according to the safeguards that are put in place to protect the student's confidentiality.
All right. So Jasmine will continue now by discussing the opposing side, which is the beneficial ethical implications of using technology, including both privacy and safety.
So for my final point, today's children are growing up in a rapidly changing digital age that is far different from their parents and grandparents. A variety of technologies are all around our homes, offices, and schools. Technology and interactive media are here to stay, even as Julia mentioned. Young children who live in a world of interactive media, they are growing up at an ease that with digital services, devices that are rapidly becoming the tools of the culture at home, at school, at work, and in the community. This brings up my point where basically, basically, will there will be no avoidance in technology exposure. However, that does not mean that parents can learn how to appropriately monitor their child's usage of the devices. Children love technology and they can probably use it for hours if allowed by their parents. As mentioned before, technology is a lot more different now, and therefore parents can now have more access to what their children are doing with their devices. It is true that children can also run risks and not using the technology safely and appropriately. However, here parents and children will give them the opportunity to learn when the device can be used appropriately. Select, use, integrate, and evaluate technology and interactive media tools in intentional and developmentally appropriate ways, giving careful attention to the appropriateness and the quality of the content and the child's experience and opportunities for co-engagement are very important. Parents can implement a consequence if their child is not using the device appropriately and praise them when they are using the device appropriately. Implemented by the parents, the child will learn when it's the appropriate time to use the device, as well for the parent to learn when not to give the device in inappropriate situations. For example, parents will learn to give the child the device, not just give the child a device and for a negative to stop the negative behavior. It is the role and responsibility of the educator to make informed, intentional, and appropriate choices about how, and when technology and media are used. Safety is important, and children will learn how to browse safely with the monitoring of their parents. Parents will learn how to teach the child technology safety and how to set up the privacy filters and monitoring how the child is using the device. As a result, it will teach responsibility for both the child and the parent.
Okay, I really want to say a huge Thank you to Jasmine and Julia for so many excellent points, both in support and against the use of technology in ABA and special education. As we all know, the way that the field and things in general towards more and more technology usage. I mean, look at us. We're taking classes online. The efficiency of using this resource seems to outweigh the negative effects, but the most important thing to note is that cost efficiency is a huge factor, as is location of clientele. Although technology is going in a seemingly positive direction, based on our evidence, caution needs to be taken to review the negative implications of technology on the field of special education and ABA. And these implications need to be minimized as much as possible. We all want to say thank you guys for watching our debate. We really hope that you enjoyed it and got some really good information out of it, and that now you can go out and make your own decisions about how we as behavior analysts will continue to shape the future of ABA, special education, enhancing our field with the addition of technology. Thank you, and bye everybody.
Bye.